Hi everyone! Sorry for the late start, I had to reset the router. Fingers crossed, we're all good now. Today I'm going to talk to you about leaving your dog in kennels for the first time. It can be a bit of a traumatic experience for both you and your dog when you leave them for the first time, so I'm just going to give you a few tips and pointers on the best things to do. Now the first thing is choosing your kennels. We always advise viewing 2 or 3 different kennels so you can get an idea about what's available, what each one offers. Every kennel offers something slightly different, and it's about finding out what's best for you and your dog. So when you're looking to choose a kennels, you can go on Google, see what you can find, make a list of 2 or 3, give them a ring, have a chat with them. Best thing to do is talk to them, especially if your dog's got sort of special needs. So give them a ring, ask them some questions. If you have a list of questions that you want to ask, then you can compare each one against themselves, so you can choose one in the end. Sort of questions that you want to be asking is, do the dogs get exercised every day? And when they are exercised, do they go out for a walk? Do they just go out in their outside runs? Or do they have exercise areas for them? At Highfield we do walk the dogs every day. They're all individually walked, and we have outside runs that they go out in 3 times a day. Another question you might want to ask is about food. What food do they feed them on? If they're on a more specialised diet, do you have to bring that in yourself? If they're fed 3 or 4 times a day, can the kennels accommodate that? We do provide whatever food your dog eats at home. We provide anything from Wag, Bakers, all those sort of foods, up to the more high quality ones, Royal Canin, James Wellbeloved, Burns. We like to keep them on exactly the same diet they have at home so that we don't get upset tummies while they're staying with us. If your dog is on a prescription diet or one of the tailored diets like tails.com, that is something we can't get in. So we do ask you to bring those sort of foods. But generally we can pretty much provide everything. Another question you want to ask is, in the winter months, if you're looking at going away during the winter, is do they provide heating? What sort of heating have they got? When does the heating come on? And then you want to ask if that's included in the price. We do have winter and summer prices. Our summer prices include food, walks, insurance, and the winter price includes the heating as well as all that. It's worth checking what is included in your price. Some kennels do charge extra for insurance, and some add VAT on the top. We're not VAT registered, so we don't have VAT on ours. The price you see is the price that you pay. Then you want to see about viewing kennels. It's always nice if you can go and have a look round before you make a decision. Generally, most kennels will allow that. Unfortunately, at the moment, we aren't allowing that because of the COVID virus. I'm not sure about other kennels in the area. I don't know whether they're still allowing viewings or not. Because we're not allowing viewings, we have got our Facebook video that we did of the tour of the kennels. That is on our Facebook page, or you can go to YouTube. If you look up Highfield Kennels, we should come up with the videos there. Please look up Highfield Kennels, not Highfield Kennels and Cattery. That is a different place. There is a Highfield Kennels and Cattery in Barnwell that isn't us. So make sure you get the right one. We've also, if you go onto our website, there is a link to the YouTube page there as well. So you can see what there is in the kennels, where the dogs are going to stay. We also have loads of pictures on our Facebook page and on our website of the kennels and the areas around the kennels. If you are looking around a few, and there's some others that you can't visit and they haven't got like the virtual tour, then just ask them to send you some photos. It won't be a problem. They'll be able to send you some pictures of where the dog's going to stay, where they're going to go outside, and then you can have a good comparison about which ones you want to use. When you've made a decision, best thing to do is do a day board. So your dog gets to meet the kennel staff, and they get to stay with us for the day. They get to experience what it's like to be in a kennels. It's really important that they know you're coming back, and that's why we always advise the day first. Especially if you're going away for 10 days, fortnight, or even longer, then they've had the day, they know that you're coming back to them. Rescue dogs really do struggle in kennels sometimes, because they don't know the difference between a rescue kennels and a boarding kennels. They still think they're being abandoned. So we always advise a day and perhaps another 2-day, maybe a weekend with dogs like that. We will always be very honest with you about how your dog's done on their day. If we feel they need more shorter stays because they've been a little bit stressy, we will advise that. If they've taken to it like a duck to water and they're fine, we'll tell you. When they do come for their day, we would say bring all their own things with them, so they've got their own smells and everything. Unfortunately, again with COVID, we're not allowing you to bring your own things at the moment. So we would provide everything, but if you wanted to bring, some of their own treats or a toy or something that was ready packaged, that would be fine. Once you've done the day board, you want to look a bit further down the line, maybe doing a weekend, like I said. If you're going away for 10 days, a fortnight, longer, then perhaps give them a little bit longer stay so that they can see that even though they're here a bit longer, you're still coming back. For those stays, again, it's really good for them to get to meet us, get used to the routine. It's not such a strange environment for them to come into if they've already been with us. So, yeah, you've done your day, you've done your weekend, and you're coming up to your stay. It's really, really important that you keep to your same routine leading up to the dog's stay. Your dog picks up on a lot of what you're thinking and feeling. So if you're really worried about leaving them, then they're going to pick up on that. So the day before you bring them in, try and keep everything as normal as possible. Keep the same routine, feed them at the usual times. They will probably know something's going on. We hear a lot of people say as soon as they get the suitcase out, the dog knows that something's going on, they're going away. So again, the dog will be picking up on little things that you perhaps even won't think about. So keep everything as same as possible. The really big thing is diet. Please keep their diet the same. Don't over-treat them. And we have a lot of people that like to give their dogs a really good treat before they come into kennels because they feel quite bad about leaving them. But giving them a Sunday dinner or a roast dinner with all the trimmings is not the best way to go. The last thing you want is for your dog to get an upset tummy when they come into kennels. Not only are they having something that perhaps they don't have regular, they're also perhaps feeling a little bit nervous because they know something's going on, and that can cause an upset tummy as well. So we do not want them having an upset tummy when they come into kennels because they will associate that with kennels. And so kennels will be a bad thing. We want them to have positive experiences when they come into kennels. That's really, really important for first-time stays. They've got to have a positive experience, otherwise they're not going to want to come back again. And they're going to be really reluctant when you have to bring them back. So keep everything the same. Don't go overboard with the fussing and the love and cuddles. Of course, you want to love and cuddle your dog, but don't take it over the top because you're feeling guilty about leaving them. Again, that will make them even more worried because they're wondering why you're doing something different to what you normally do. So, like I said, try and keep as much the same as you can. The day that you're due to come in, try and be prepared. I know it's really difficult. Things happen, the kids won't do as they're told, the car breaks down, you oversleep, and you end up being in a mad rush. That is the worst thing that can happen on the first day of them coming into kennels, because you're rushing about, you're stressed, they're feeling all of that. If you can keep things nice and calm and chilled, again, go about everything as normal. And when you drop them off at the kennels, don't make a big fuss. We know that you don't want to leave them, that it's really traumatic the first time you do leave them, but you need to make sure that you have a quick goodbye. So that you say goodbye, tell them you've gone shopping. That's what we always tell them, Mummy's gone shopping. And then just go, because the more time you spend with them panicking and worrying, the more they pick up on it, the more stressed they become. If you're worried, you can give us a ring at any point while they're staying with us. If you want to email us, Facebook message, whatever, you can do all of that. If you want to send you some pictures, we can take photos of them while they're staying with us, and we can send you those. You may have seen pictures of the dogs on our Facebook page when they're staying with us. I would like to stress that we don't put photos on our Facebook page until the dogs have gone home. We don't want people knowing which dogs we've currently got staying with us, so we only put them on with owner's consent once they've gone home. What we do when they first come and stay is, once you've dropped them off and you've left them, we give them 20 to 30 minutes just to settle and calm and chill a bit, because they often are a bit worked up when they're first left. Once they've done that, we go back in, we spend some time with them. If they are feeling quite stressed and worried, and we notice that they're a little bit worried, then we go in with them more often. We're up and down the kennel block all day anyway, we're regularly in and out with the dogs, so we are keeping an eye on everybody all the time, but if we feel that yours needs a little bit more time, then we'll spend a bit more time with them. Don't worry if they're not eating. Sometimes they don't eat for 2 or 3 days. That's normal. They will generally eat when they start to get a bit hungrier and once they've settled in a bit more. Occasionally we do get ones that still don't eat after a couple of days, so we will just tempt them with something in their food. If they're on a dry food and they're allowed to have something chicken or meaty mixed in, then we can mix some of that in. If they're not, they're only allowed that food, then we'll try hand feeding them, we'll soak it, maybe put a little bit of gravy on it. We've got all sorts of tricks to get them into eating. And once they start eating, they generally keep on with that appetite. They get their appetite back and they keep eating like there's no tomorrow. Some dogs come straight in, settle no problem, wolf their food down, no issues at all. Just depends on your dog. If your dog is quite a nervous dog and spends a lot of time at home with you, those are the ones that take a little bit longer to settle in. The ones that are really quite outgoing and love everybody tend to just come in and enjoy it. Once they've stayed with us, you come back and pick them up. Don't worry if your dog doesn't recognise you for about 30 seconds to a minute. That is absolutely normal. A lot of owners get quite upset because they come back to fetch the dogs and we bring them out and the dog just stands there and doesn't realise who it is. That is absolutely normal. Sometimes it just takes their brains a little bit to get going and to realise that it's you. So don't be offended. They still love you. They may go home and sulk. We do hear about that a lot, that a lot of dogs go home and they spend the whole day sulking and then don't want anything to do with you because you left them in the kennels. Some don't care. They bounce in, they bounce out, they go home, they're back as normal. But if they're sulking or they won't eat for a couple of days or they try and trick you into thinking that, they're only going to eat chicken for a few days, they'll try it on. There's some that try it on every time after they've been in and they've been coming for years. So if their behaviour isn't quite normal for a day or two when you get home, don't worry about that. And the other thing is, if you have got a young dog or a puppy, or even an older dog at the other end of the spectrum, you may find it takes a few days to get back into your routine at home, especially with things like toileting. The dogs take a few days to get used to our routine when they stay with us. They get used to our routine and how when we have them in and out. And then when they go home, that changes again. So please don't worry if there's a few accidents when you first get them home. That is normal. Sometimes you decide kennels isn't for you at all. You don't feel it's right for your dog. I completely understand. We do have a few clients who've brought them in and they just don't feel it's right for their dog. So there are other options, and I'm going to talk you through those options now. You've got pet sitters, where someone comes and lives in your house to look after your dog. If you've got a multi-pet household and you've got lots of animals, that is quite a good idea to have someone come and live in your house. They can look after all the pets generally, and there's a fixed price for doing that. Please make sure if you're using a pet sitter that you're using somebody reputable and somebody with insurance. Should be fully insured, which would usually be third-party insurance and some kind of veterinary insurance in case there's any incidents while they're staying with you. The other option you can use is home boarding, where your dog goes and stays with a host family and they stick to the routine, medications, etc. that they have normally at home. That option, again, please make sure you use someone who's professional and reputable. They need to be licensed by the local council. When the new licences were introduced, I think it's almost 2 years ago, home boarders had to be licensed. So please make sure that your home boarder is licensed and again has got insurance. We tend to recommend for the pet sitting, we recommend Helen M at Links Dog Training Dog Training Made Easy. For the home boarding, we tend to recommend Barking Mad. When they come and stay with us, medications. I should have touched on this earlier and I didn't. We can give medications, any type of medications, whatever time they have them, 12 hours apart, eye drops, ear drops, tablets. We do the occasional diabetic ones, but it depends on how bad their diabetes is. That's always something you would have to discuss with us as to whether we would be able to take your dog with something like diabetes. It's quite complex, and if they're on a standard dose, which they have at standard time every day, that's something we can deal with. But more complex cases, we do say no, they're better off having a pet sitter or a home boarder. But tablets aren't a problem. Ones that they have to have, 3 times a day, or if they have to have them before food, some have to be given after food. We're used to doing all of those sorts of things, so that's not a problem. If they have to have their flea treatments while they stay with us, or their worming treatments, you can leave those with us, we can do that. We're used to all that sort of thing. We always make sure that when the dogs stay with us, they're groomed regularly throughout their stay, and they have a nice deodorising brush before they go home so that they smell nice. So we try and keep to what they would have at home. Pretty much that's it with choosing a kennels. It's not that difficult, but it's quite scary when you're doing it for the first time. If you've got any questions, I can just have a look whether there are any questions. No questions. So if you've got any questions, you can post them in the comments and I will answer them, or you can drop us an email, Facebook message. We're on all the social media. The only thing I don't do is Twitter. Not good with Twitter, so we stick to the Facebook. But any questions, please ask. I will be doing another one of these next week. I've got something in mind, but I need to run it past a couple of people first. But if you've got any suggestions for anything else you want me to do, please let me know. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.